some of our sector board leaders who are here present. Usually they're about 18 to 20, depending on how the government is organized within the ministries. And that's where we start our conversations. You know, all the policy discussions, all these programs and projects that we're talking about. And KRA, of course, the AG, CBK, immigration, just the needs that we need to work together with the private sector. And these are quarterly and all that. And then we do have the National Assembly, which we call the Speakers Roundtable, because that's where all these discussions we're talking about laws are made, the budget. Speakers and Senate Roundtable. And mentioning Senate, we do have, I think, 2 senators who've joined us from the arid areas. Maybe I could ask them just to stand and wave for them wherever they are. I don't know, there were supposed to be 3, but we have 2. That's from Embu. I think we have another one, maybe from Machakos there, who joined us this morning as we discussed this conversation around that. So we do meet with them, and we'll be going back to them and saying, what policies must we do in those counties to make sure this perennial issue does not continue. We also have the Chief Justice Forum. And one of the things that I must say, when we met with the Kenya Kwanza team during the electioneering period, and our president today, leading the team, we shared what we called the Private Sector Economic Manifesto. And one of the areas we shared that time was the judiciary budget. And to see that that has been effected so early in the administration, we are very, very grateful. And the second thing that we shared was about what we had been talking for a long time, what we call the Biashara Bank, Biashara Fund, and that has been effected in another different name, the Hustler Fund. And so we're looking forward to that. And so what we've done is merge the two, our economic manifesto, and then now the new administration manifesto that has made government, and we have one. And so we're looking forward now to engaging at the presidential roundtable and say, now how do we continue to implement each of those things together? And so, dear Deputy President, as you go back and meet the President, so we're looking forward, at least in the next 2 weeks, to have our first forum, now that the cabinet is in place. And now we look at all those areas and see how we partner the next 5 years and engage. And so our climax is the roundtable with the president. After we've engaged with all the others, development partners, we do the same. And regional forums at EABC, East African Business Council. We're the focal point as Kepsa of the East African Business Council. And each country in the region has a focal point, which is the umbrella body of the business in that country. So we'll learn more about Kepsa for those who are new as we go along. But today we are speaking a lot about the youth. So let me say a little bit, just to add where my chair Flora has stopped on, in terms of some of the programs we've done. I won't go into the details. They are right there from the Kenya Youth Empowerment Program. But I'll stop there and say something on why we took the youth agenda. In 2007, when we had the elections, and the disputed elections, and we had the post-election violence, when we sat down as the leadership of Kepsa then, we looked and said, how did it go so bad? And we realized one of the constituents that was very involved in the violence was the youth. And we said, as a responsible private sector, we cannot just wait for government to do everything about the youth. We have to take up the challenge. We have to play a role on the socio-economic agenda. And that's when we went out and said, who can we start working with? And we started working. World Bank was starting the Kazi kwa Vijana program, and we said we're going to take one component. And if I may say so myself, it became the only component that was successful. And the rest were cancelled along the way. And so that gave us the encouragement to do more in the youth. That was the Kenya Youth Empowerment we implemented with the World Bank and the Ministry of the Youth then. And then we went on and started taking another one with the Danish, the business sector program support. And you can see the number of the jobs that were created in each of these programs that I won't go into the details of. We worked with the Ministry of Trade with that. Then we did Switch Africa Green with the UNDP. And then we started the Ajira program. The first pilot was with Rockefeller and the Ministry of ICT. And we realized we could create a lot of jobs. And that's when we said, can we expand the Ajira program? And over 1.9 million jobs has been created over the period that we have done the Ajira program. And it's about 2-3 years. And that's what has given us encouragement that if actually we combine all these things that we have learned in these different programs, we can do a bigger one and bring more partners and more commitments. We also did the e-commerce program with Trademark East Africa. And I think one of the youth mentioned, once we went into COVID, people couldn't go to work. And the challenge was work from home. And what were these young people going to do? And we thought, some of them were busy selling their produce, or services out there, and now they can't go. And we thought, can we help them use platforms, the e-commerce platforms? Many would use Twitter and Facebook, and we told them that's not e-commerce. There's actually e-commerce platforms where you can do your business. And so we did this, and we trained about over 2,600 SMEs. And a lot of these SMEs, of course, are young people, and 1,800 have increased their monthly sales by 40%. Would like to do more of this kind of programs as we move into the tech world. And then again, we went to the coast and said, we are all about sustainability. And Deputy President, you had this in the